Alright, most people think that you need a lot of money or experience or some sort of special knowledge to start investing in real estate. But today we're gonna go over my story. I wanna tell you guys my story and how I kind of got started and the mistakes that I made and then what I learned on the way to where I'm at now. It started off with my very first house that I ever purchased right here in Temple, and then it kind of just grew up to 5 properties, and then right now I'm actually offloading the last of my investment properties for a different strategy that I'm kind of doing. Alright, so the very first house that I bought, I'm actually living in it now. 930 Kacie Drive. This was in 2017. I bought this place for $165,000. So I used the listing agent to purchase the property, which really isn't a great idea, but I wouldn't qualify that as a big mistake in this journey, really. This was a decent deal right now. It's worth definitely a lot more. So I got this 2017, and then 2018, a year and a half later, I was starting to wrap my head around investing in real estate. We're doing some research every now and then, but at this time I was really big on the Dave Ramsey stuff. No debt, get the savings, get everything in the stock market and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I was doing, but I was still looking into it. And then I put my master bedroom on Airbnb. And at first it was like, cool, I was renting it for $30 a night. And then I became a super host. And I was getting all these inquiries. It was pretty much rented out all the time. I had some long-term people live here. I mean, I was getting like $800 a month for a room in my house, which at the time was paying just about the whole mortgage. So then I was starting to think, this could be a good idea to get more houses, start doing this. And that's whenever my mind opened up to real estate being definitely a feasible path to financial freedom. So to get more into it, right after that, I was like, oh, how do I buy another house? At the time, I didn't have a whole bunch of money saved up, especially to put 20% down. So I was kind of trying to figure out ways. And that's what kind of turned me on to the Nomad strategy, which I think is a really good strategy. If you want to build your portfolio, it's kind of the delayed gratification, but you're still getting that gratification. It's progressive improvement over time. And that is whenever you buy a house, you live in it for at least a year, and then you move and you rent the house out. So that's what I did. I rented out this place on Kacie Drive. I was getting really good cash flow, and then I purchased a nicer property, and it was 2001 Broken Shoe Trail in a great neighborhood, Carriage House Trails in Temple. And I lived there for about a year and a half, and then I read, at the last half year, I was starting to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then I was obsessed. I was like, I have to lower my expenses. I got my expenses, and I have to start getting more properties. So I wanted to rent this place on Broken Shoe out and then move to a cheaper property. Well, the issue with that is that they don't let you do that, really, because you can move up, but you can't move down. And to them, I was moving into a lower quality property, which is exactly what I was doing. And they don't like to see that. On the loan end, I don't know why, but I couldn't do it. So it's like, well, I want to get my expenses down. Let's just sell this house, buy a cheaper house, and I can buy more houses because I'm going to have lower expenses. That was the first mistake I made. First of all, I was living in a really nice area. I had a great interest rate, great price on the house. Sold the house I got almost nothing out of it. And then purchased the next house. I had to put money down for the down payment. I put 10% down. I don't even know why I did that, honestly. And then the payment I got that house for $150, and the other one, Broken Shoe, I got for $200,000, and I sold it for $220. So now I'm living in this, really, I paid too much for this house as well. Terrible condition. I had to do flooring, I had to do all cosmetics. It still looked horrible because I had no idea what I was doing. And it's just in a worse area, worse everything, right? So I'm living in here, but I've still got this rich dad, poor dad mentality. So I'm like, I wasn't even thinking that it was a bad place to live. I was like, this is good. I got a little bit, it was $100 less payment. So doing that, and I'm like, I'm gonna refinance my first house, Kacie Drive. I refinanced Kacie Drive, got around $47,000 out of it, and bought my first actual investment property that I wasn't gonna live in, which was 1805 South 7th Street. So on this one, I was determined. I was like, I'm gonna find who works with investors, because that's what I need. I need somebody to walk me through it. I need somebody just like I am right now. And I tell you, I looked everywhere. I went on Instagram, I went on TikTok, Google, and I was calling these people too. I don't think I found any on anything else but Google. And I was calling them, almost none of them responded to me. And then I'm screwed here because I can't even see these properties. I'm ready to go. I've got a pre-approval, I've got everything, but I don't even have an agent. I can't find out how to get into these properties. So I end up I was screw it. I think the most reviews online was the Shine team. And I went with them, called them up, they scheduled an appointment with me, and it was this lady. She doesn't even work there anymore. But she was good enough for what I needed. I could get in to see the properties, and I made offers on pretty much, I'd say about 75% of the homes. One of them, she was videoing them. She was doing like a FaceTime call. I was at the fire department, and she was like, there's also one right across the street that just dropped the price. And I was like, oh, let's check it out. And she showed it to me on video, and I was like, let's put in an offer. We offered full price, and the market was super hot, but this property had been listed for, I think it was 80 days. And they accepted it. And I didn't get any of my closing costs paid for. I didn't even know about any of this stuff. The lender didn't tell me, the realtor didn't tell me, but I had the money, so I was like, well, no big deal. As long as I get the house, it's fine. So I get the house. I didn't get an inspection. I'm fairly certain I didn't get an inspection. And I'm fairly certain that I never walked into the property until after we closed. And so I go in there, and the master bedroom is like converted. I don't know what it was, but the ceiling, I'm 5'10", the ceiling, and it had those ceiling tiles, the old stuff full of the popcorn ceiling and everything. And so it's like, oh, well, I wanted to work on it, I wanted to improve it, and I wanted to do the work. So I scraped the popcorn ceiling, I took off some of the paneling, I painted some of the paneling, I did a lot of stuff. The only thing and then I also took off the ceiling tile, and below it, above the ceiling tile, the drywall was just complete, there was nails in it, it was horrible. So I couldn't really use it I couldn't reuse it. And then also I had to take it down anyways because the ceiling was so low. So I had to talk to my friend, he's like, you gotta raise the ceiling. Now that I think about it, I'm probably getting off the video here. I had to do a lot of work on this rehab. So I put about $33,000 for the down payment, I think. It was 20%, so I think it was $26,000 or so is what I ended up putting down, and then also all the closing costs, it was $33,000 total. And I got $60,000 of it because I also had some saved up. And so I start doing my own work. I get some contractors. I end up paying in total with the materials, the contractors, and everything around another 30 grand to fix this place up. Well, while I'm inside working, when I was trying to do it myself, I get a knock on the door, and it's the tenants from across the street. And they're like, hey, we see you're redoing this house. Are you gonna rent it? Because our landlord is about to sell. And so I was like, I'm gonna rent it, but I don't think I'm gonna be done in time. But I was like, look, I am looking to buy another place if they would look at an offer. And so I end up contacting their landlord. This is 1814 South 7th. I end up contacting their landlord. She's like, yeah, I wanna sell. I wanted to list the places. I had just become a realtor, and she just wanted to sell it. And so I was like, oh, well, let me please put in an offer. It was like $106,000. And at this time, I'm approved. I'm gonna get a 3.5% interest. The 1805, I think, was at a 3.25, and this one was gonna be at a 3.5% interest rate. And I'm ready to go. And so we go through the process. The title company has a week before closing. Title companies, we've got a problem. Her husband died, never went through, never probated, never did anything. We have everybody's contact, we're missing one. And so that process dragged out for another 2 months. So we're gonna get back to that a little bit later. But during this 2 months, I had just got my real estate license, and I was door knocking. So, and I did buy the 1814, but while I was door knocking, I found a vacant property, and I called the guy, and he was like, I wanted to list this one also. And this will be one of the biggest mistakes I made. he answered me, or he emailed me. And I was like, I looked in there, I want to buy it. And he was like, I'm looking to sell. And so I met up with him. First thing he told me was like, I'd be happy to get 125 out of this property. I was like, oh no. We got a good market. He had an extra unit attached. I said, look, we can list this right now. When you list this property, I guarantee, even if the inspection is terrible, you're gonna get $180,000 for this property. Because I felt like it could go for on the market is around 250 if it was in decent condition, didn't have a huge issue. And he was like, I don't care. I don't want a bunch of people walking through. He owns a, sell it, no inspections, quick close right away. And I had just told this guy 180. Well, I'll do 140. And so I ended up buying it for 140 and did the rehab. I spent around 40 to 50,000 on this rehab and it looked good. I got it appraised, so I'm all in at 200 with all the closing costs. I got it appraised for 300,000. And so it's like, and not one single time crossed my mind, sell this house, take that 100,000, you can buy this 1814 house cash. Not a single time. I was like, this one has an extra unit, I want to keep it. I liked that it had the extra unit, and I liked the idea of doing a midterm rental. And so I kept it. Well, I was buying it like that, so that one I bought on hard money. And at the time that I bought it, they were lending on the deal. And it was a good deal, so I paid $4,000 to close on this property. But then I wanted to pay the contractors and the materials and everything out of my own pocket. So I go that route, and my credit card is like, I've never been in credit card debt. My credit card is just increasing and increasing. I max it out. I got to pull a draw from this hard money lender. So I started pulling draws to pay the contractors. And in this time, my credit was just dropping. So I was like, I didn't even think about credit as being something that was important or that mine would be bad. So I'm doing this rehab. I've already closed on this, started the rehab, I'm finishing it up, and now finally, like 2 months later, this 1814 house is ready to close. So I get, and this was a good deal too. 106,000, I think on market it would have been 30,000, maybe less, maybe 125-ish. But it was a decent after repair value. The numbers were perfect, and I did it that way. I had the comps and everything. So, but the lender, the hard money lender, was like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. And I had already gotten approval from him, but they didn't tell me they weren't lending on the deal. They didn't tell me what I needed to bring to the closing table. So a week before closing, I figure all this out, and I still didn't know that they weren't lending on the deal. I thought the deal that I had just wasn't working for their numbers. So I call a lady up, I'm like, look, I'm really sorry, but I was approved for the conventional. I'm approved for this hard money loan, but I don't have the money that they need to bring to the closing table. So we need to lower the price. So I lowered the price like 10,000, so it was like 96,000. And she was very unhappy, but she wanted to sell it, and honestly, I was probably in a little bit too high in the first place. But I bought that for 96,000 on a hard money loan. Did the rehab, and at this point, I'm in a little panic mode, and now I have 2 projects going on. I have to buy the materials for this 1814 house still, and then I have to be sure that I get these draws paid out to the contractors from the hard money lender. So I get through all that, get everybody paid, I pay all the materials, and I'm like, nothing. I have nothing. I get them both rented out. They're renting great. With a 918 North 13th, I'm getting $1,000 a month cash flow, and then I will extra with the main place. I think I was getting $1,800 a month on that one. And then 1814, I was doing a midterm rental, $1,900 a month. So these are cash flowing really well. And now I'm like, oh, let's get these things refinanced. Well, during this time, I pretty much became unfinanceable. One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't really look for, I had maybe 1 or 2 people tell me, we can't do the financing. And then I just gave up. I was like, well, I got this hard money loan. I'll just ride it out and my credit should be better in the future. Well, during this time, the one at the house at 1805, I think I went 4 months without receiving a single payment. And I finally told her, I was like, I gotta evict you because I'm screwed. And so I was paying the mortgage still, obviously. And she finally was like, I'm sorry, it'll never happen again. So it finally started getting rent payments, never got paid back for that 4 months. And then whenever she was moving out, she didn't pay the last 2 months until I had to threaten her again. And she was like, all right, I'm out. And so I wasn't just a financial, I just did a lot of things wrong on this, from tenant selection to buying too many deals at once, and then to not knowing exactly how to conduct the rehab and everything. And I also had a lot of waiting time with my contractors, and it just pretty much everything went wrong. So these properties are rented out now. I got a new tenant in 1805, start going through everything. I've still got my fire job. So I was honestly surprised. How am I not financeable? I have this fire job. I don't know. So I thought I should be financeable, but they said no. I had to extend the hard money so many times on both of them. And finally, I was like, well, I have an appraisal for $300,000 and I owe like $200,000 to this hard money lender. Why not sell this property? I will be able to easily get my credit back up for this other one. So I put it on the market, $300,000, and this is right whenever, I think it's like 2022, 23 maybe, when the market's shifting a little bit. And a lot of people were scared, and then also the house was, I thought it looked nice, but if you're a first-time home buyer, it's an older home, whatever, I don't know. It didn't sell, so I dropped it. And then I ended up, I was like, I gotta sell, because I had taken the tenant out of this 918 North 13th Street property to be able to sell it, to be able to show it and everything. So I only had the one unit that was like midterm rental. It was just an old lady who was renting $1,000 a month. And also, she was calling me every single day. Screw this, I want to get out of this thing. So I got the main unit vacant, started selling it, but it wasn't selling. So it's like, I lowered the price, and then I eventually lowered the price all the way down to $265. I have an appraisal for $300,000. This was done maybe 6 months ago, and nothing. I finally got an offer of $250 with, I was paying a lot of closing costs. That's fine. And at the end of everything, I made I think 15 grand from it. And that wasn't even close enough to what I needed. But I love the midterm rental at 1814. So it's like trying to keep on to it. Trying to hang on to it and wait till I could get financing. I ended up selling that later, but we'll move on to the next property that I got. Was from, I used to do text messages from some texting app, and I saved their contact from bulk save deal and Google Contacts or maybe Apple Contacts. And then I think it was hit them up, and I would just, I think I sent like 250 messages one day, and this lady was like, hey, I have some land, I'll sell it. So it's like, and I talked to her, I gave her comps, I gave her everything, it was very nice to her. Nothing, never heard back from her, I didn't follow up with her either. So then I just get a random call one day to my work phone, and I was like, oh no, it was to my personal phone. She was like, you messaged me about some land, my mom just died, we have to sell her house. I go to her house, and it was full of junk, but it wasn't terrible. It looked like it needed a cosmetic rehab, but there was stuff everywhere. So like, I would love to buy this, and at this point, I've got my credit, there's no way I can hold on to this. I'm gonna flip this. This is a great flip. It's in a good location. They call it River Oaks Drive, I think. And after repair value, it was like, I had recent comps on the same street, 220, same size, everything. And yeah, and so they never get back with me. Probably sold it. Like 6 months later, the lady's sister calls me on my personal phone again, and I'm like, how did you get my phone number? And she's like, well, I found you, she told me your name, I found you online, and they refound me, and they were like, can you come back over? And I was like, yeah, I remember it, but I'll come with my contractors and I'll get you an offer today. And so I go with my contractors, and there's rats all over the place in this house. Because I told them a number, I think it was 125. But there's just a lot more work now because it had been vacant so long. There was so much food in the house, and it was like the rats were just pretty much eating all the food, and it was bad. And so I was like, I'm so sorry. I tell everybody when I'm buying a house, like, the price, I'm not gonna go down from the price. We're gonna be good, no inspection. I'm gonna buy this property. But I just wasn't feeling comfortable with it. Because my friend from the fire department was like, yeah, rats will chew through the electric wire. On that one, I had my contractor quoted me like, and so 120 plus the 40 is 160. I had after repair value 220. So I get one of my parents' friends who was interested in investing in real estate to be like a private money lender on this one. We're gonna go 50-50. Do the rehab. The rehab looks incredible. Everything looks incredible. But another huge mistake that I made was whenever the contractors got done cleaning it, like all the stuff out, there's a spot like very end that was a little bit unlevel. I was like, that kind of looks bad, but it's not a big deal. You can tell that there's no foundation issues because there's no large cracks. nothing to indicate foundation issues other than this little spot right here. And then also I was thinking, maybe the flooring is gonna cover it up. It'll look more level. And it didn't. And then we listed a little bit below. I was like 215. I got I've had so many showings in my life. No offers were coming in. But I was like, we're gonna get 215. We just have to wait. The market was kind of shifting. So then finally we got an offer, and we took it. And then they ended up backing out because their dad said something like, it's too much work. You know, there was no work that needed to be done. And I told the lady, I was like, if there's anything he thinks needs to be done, we'll do it. Backed out, and then I was like, okay, we listed at 200, and total all of this time, because the private money lender had paid kind of like I had expected, right? But we went under contract. They initially wanted stuff done, so I was paying all that because I didn't want her. I wanted the numbers to be good for her. And so I was paying that, and I was just sinking myself into a deeper hole. And finally, we sold it for, my partner walked away, I think she made maybe $3,000, not much. And I had it for a good amount of time, 6-7 months, maybe even 8 months. But I was like, at the end I was like, all right, we gotta get this thing. I have to sell this. I can't, this lady is counting on me. So I had a big closing in real estate, and I had the foundation company come and level everything out. And so it was leveled, and then whenever they leveled it, it caused a bunch of cosmetic damage. But also, whenever they leveled it, they some plumbing. And they were like, we can't give you a foundation warranty until this plumbing is done. So I've already paid them $7,000. Then I had to pay the plumber $8,000. That's $15,000 I'm in the hole. And then I had to do the cosmetic stuff to get everything, and then we listed it back at 190 and finally got a super low offer. I don't remember what exactly it was, 175? But I was in the hole I didn't make anything, so I probably lost $15,000 on this deal. But I learned so much from it. It's great to actually have that already behind me because it's never gonna happen again. But I would have liked my partner to be able to walk away with I was expecting at least for her to get 15% return and a lot shorter time also. 1805, 918. I think that's all of them. And then I've kind of offloaded them since then. And I made some money on some. I lost a lot of money on at least one of them. I think that was the only one I lost money on, but still. And then I just sold 1805 and I made around 40,000, which isn't good, but my strategy now is just pretty much scale. Because if you're holding on to a property, you have 25% equity in that property that you're not gonna see until you sell it. But if you're consistently finding deals and you're consistently moving that 25% into the next one and it's consistently growing, it makes more sense for me to just flip until I can just buy a house or do whatever I want with it. But it just doesn't make sense for me to hold. For example, I was cash flowing really well on 1805 South 7th, and I was making probably $6,000 a year. But then to make that 40,000, what was that, 6-7 years to recoup that money? And I was like, why can't I just liquidate and then just keep liquidating and doing it? And the only issue is if there's no deal flow. But if you have a good deal flow, you should be able to get faster with that strategy. That's kind of where I've learned so many lessons with tenant management, with rehab management, contractors, buying, put more of unexpected stuff can happen, put more of a little buffer in the numbers. And then doing that has helped me help my clients make the same mistakes that I did, and also helped me not mistake them in the future, obviously. So that's my story, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope it was interesting. I hope that it was for you guys. If you're looking at investing in the Temple area, I serve Temple, Belton, Killeen, Harker Heights, all of the Bell County area. Please, I'm helping people just like you grow their portfolio every single day. You can call me, text me, email me. You can schedule in my Calendly. The link is going to be right down below. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Let's get it.